Good morning, everybody. I'm Tom Brackett. I'm the president of the New Jersey State Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to this year's first in a series of webinars that we're doing with NJM Insurance Group. We're pleased to be doing that again this year. This is our third year working with NJM. These seminars will look at a very wide variety of issues affecting businesses today. And today the discussion will be exploring big workforce trends. Our panelists will discuss issues like labor, talent shortage, AI, generational differences, employment law, many things that impact the workforce today. These are all issues that all employers are working with and trying to figure out. Therefore, they're very topical. Presentation, you have any questions, please put your questions into our chat box, and we will try to get to as many of them as possible at the end of the presentations. I want to thank NJM Insurance Group for continuing to partner with us. Again, as I said, this is our third year. We're very proud of the series that we've had in the past and the information we've been able to pass on to the business community. They've been a great corporate partner of ours, and they're an outstanding corporate citizen in the state of New Jersey. And with that, I would like to please introduce Sean Flanagan, the Senior HR Business Partner at NJM. Sean, it's all yours.
Thank you. Good morning. As Tom said, I'm a Senior Business Partner for NJM Insurance Group. NJM is pleased to be the exclusive sponsor of the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce Small Business Webinar Series. This morning's webinar, Major Workforce Trends in 2024, will provide guidance toward what you can anticipate this year. I'll be handing it off to our panel shortly. I want to thank the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce for the opportunity to briefly speak with you today. The New Jersey Chamber of Commerce has been an essential voice for Garden State business for more than a century and a vocal advocate in the corridors of the Capitol and Trenton. NJM has been helping small businesses meet their insurance needs since 1913. We've been the largest writer of workers' compensation insurance in New Jersey for more than 70 years and a leading provider of commercial auto insurance. Recently, we've added new products to better serve our policyholders and potential new customers. We've also expanded our footprint, and NJM is now a leading regional insurer serving business customers in Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania, and of course, New Jersey. Our NJM ProEdge business owners policy, which combines protection for common property and liability risks, is designed for smaller businesses. The NJM ProPack commercial package policy protects mid to large-sized businesses against property and liability risks. NJM business policy holders receive the highest levels of service, including access to our nationally recognized claim service and certified loss prevention specialists. The focus on safety, long and NJM hallmark, helps business owners identify and correct workplace hazards before accidents occur. If an injury should happen, our claims and medical services professionals work to mitigate losses and contain claims costs. We take pride in aligning the right coverages for our policyholders, providing an outstanding customer experience, and sharing profits in forms of dividends. If you're not an NJM business customer, I encourage you to visit njm.com to review our agent directory, get a free quote, or contact us with any questions. I'd now like to hand this back to Tom, who will introduce today's panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And again, thanks to NJM for your ongoing partnership with us. And we look forward to the webinars over the balance of the year for the 2024 series. We have three very qualified panelists with us today who will talk about workforce trends in 2024. The three panelists are Tara Thurber, Patty Prezioso, and Nicole Carline. And with that, I'd like to ask each of them to provide a little bit about their backgrounds. So Tara, you want to kick it off?
Sure. Thank you so much, Tom. I am the co-founder and director of talent partnerships at a boutique talent service company called DefinedTalent. Coming to the table here with a creative background in graphic design and photography, and a very ever-evolving entrepreneurial spirit. I had always been a connector and ended up finding recruiting, though I think it's more the other way around. Recruiting ended up finding me. Going through the past 15, 20 years, really honing in and working with large and small sized recruiting agencies as well as client side. I also ended up getting certified to be a life and career coach, which brings me to where I am today, bridging the gap between recruitment and career coaching, starting DefinedTalent to really build an agency that is wrapped around trust and partnership with our clients and our candidates.
Great. Thank you. Patty, you want to go next, please?
Sure. Thank you, Tom. I'm honored to be here today. Good morning, everybody. So I am a lawyer. I'm a partner at the firm Sills, Cummis and Gross. We are about 160 attorneys. We're headquartered in Newark. We serve the entire state of New Jersey as well as New York. I am the head of the Employment and Labor Department. Here, what we do is management side only. We counsel employers day in and day out on all issues that relate to employment law and provide HR support. We also investigate employee complaints and we litigate. We actually litigate quite a bit in state and federal court, as well as in front of all administrative agencies. And again, we're here to help you.
Thank you, Patty. Nicole, you want to finish it off, please?
Sure. So thank you again. Excited to be here with all of you. Thanks for the opportunity to share perspectives with Tara and Patty today. And thank you, Kevin, Tom, and NJM for putting this important topic together. My name's Nicole Carline. I'm the Chief Growth Officer for Workplace Wellbeing Advisors. Some of you also know me as the president of the Wellbeing Hacker. Both companies are founded by my business partner, Danielle Poza. And Workplace Wellbeing Advisors helps companies increase employee engagement. We optimize talent and teams to boost productivity and performance, and we integrate well-being strategies into an organization's culture. So I've spent 20 years in global sales and IT executive roles for Fortune 500 companies. I saw a lot of turbulent environments and stressed employees, so I know how much work is intricately tied to our well-being in our lives. And it's our mission really to help individuals and organizations unlock their potential in their work, in their workplaces, so employees can thrive and do meaningful work.
Great. Thank you all for that overview of your backgrounds. And I think everybody can see that you're very qualified to speak on the issues of workforce, the issues of the workforce that we're going to talk about today. So let's kick it off by asking each of you, what are some of the most noteworthy workforce trends affecting employers in 2024? Let's give us a broad overview of what you think the most important things are for employers this year. So, Tara, you want to start off, please?
Sure. I think there's a lot that's been going on out there over the past couple of years. And this year, one of them that has been actively coming up, and quite honestly, it's been implemented throughout a lot of our clients, is attention to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm finding a major ramp up in 2024 because companies are really trying to have a greater emphasis on the importance of inclusion with employee retention. So it's not just hiring and recruiting a diverse workforce. It's starting really with the core and working with their current employees, trying to make improvements on behalf of their current workforce, creating a more fully rounded, inclusive culture. One that we're seeing leaders are starting to consider retooling their management strategies to better support the changing needs of the workforce and the organizational culture, really focusing on bringing empathy and growth from within to then help their current employees grow and then bring in recruitment.
Okay, great. DE&I is definitely significant topic, and I'll get into some further questions on that later. So, Nicole, you want to be second, please?
Sure. So in terms of some noteworthy trends affecting employers, I'll comment more from the talent, culture, employee engagement perspective. And, we're looking at a lot of the research. In fact, Gallup put out a 2023 State of the Global Workforce report. And, really, employee engagement is at an all-time low right now. So only 31% of employees in the US and in Canada are really highly engaged in their work. And in comparison to the world, only 23% are highly engaged, right? So this really leaves us with a big challenge, an employer's challenge of only 69 to 77% of workers who are not engaged, who are loudly quitting or quiet quitting. And there's a lot to tackle there in terms of how to boost the employee engagement, but we're seeing more employers start to increasingly recognize that employee engagement is deeply intertwined, right, with overall well-being. They're choosing to go beyond like the traditional health benefits to include mental health support, financial planning services, flexible work engagement. And another trend is really the role of leadership and how they're driving engagement, right? So companies that are really investing in helping those very stressed mid-level, senior level managers to really invest in development opportunities and programs that emphasize emotional intelligence and how to manage hybrid teams, empathy, communication. They're helping managers become more coaches. They're increasing the effectiveness in their jobs and with their teams. And so those are some of the companies that will really start to see an impact and a boost in productivity when we have more of those types of programs that are implemented.
Okay, thank you. Patty.
Yeah, I agree with what Tara and Nicole said. I would add, from my point of view, we see every day employers that are struggling to make their businesses work in light of a whole slew of new laws, new regulations, new requirements that are on employers. And what we have seen, and I have seen from my chair, is there really is an increased use of leave. We're seeing more employees using FMLA, and of course, here in New Jersey, we now have the New Jersey Family Leave Act. And diversity is important, but we have to contend with the Supreme Court's decision in Students for Fair Housing versus Harvard, which literally makes it illegal to give a plus to someone who's in a protected class. So employers, and that's not to say that diversity isn't important, it's vitally important, but employers are struggling to keep up with the law and get support and make sure that they get to keep their focus on their business and making money while they contend with managing, what is usually their most important asset, which is their employees.
So let me pick up on what all three of you said there with a question, and that is that with all the issues that you three just brought forward, it's those issues are very different than pre-COVID, when the workforce and the work environment was on automatic for many years. So COVID changed a lot of things, and for company leadership who are now dealing with DE&I, employee engagement, the new regulations that they're being saddled with, that's on top of maintaining a profitable business and keeping the workplace, keeping their workers in place because the business is profitable. So talk to me a little bit about the impacts of all this on leadership, because I've seen and talked to many leaders of companies in the last couple of years, and they have a very different day than they used to their day is consumed with a lot of what you all are talking about versus before, mostly consumed with revenue, customer contact, and so forth. So can you all just comment a little bit on that new twist for leadership?
Sure, I'm happy to start. I know we try to make sure that we do keep our leaders focused on business, but part of what at least I have been seeing is leaders are changing their perspective because they have to. You know, we soon after COVID, everybody saw it was different, and there was a lot of hope that things would go back to normal. I think there's kind of an acceptance now that it may not go back because, you know, we have an intergenerational workforce right now and priorities are different. So managing to make sure that things like training is recorded. So if you have to retrain new workers, it's not as burdensome as it would have been years ago. Making sure that you know you're documenting shortcuts and checklists and things of that nature to make sure that even if your workforce is turning over, you have the ability to run your business. And there's also been like a deep appreciation, I think, for more mature workers, because those more mature workers tend to have, you know, and this is stereotyping, which is always wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway. They have a work ethic that may be more aligned with what leaders were used to prior to COVID. So we're seeing a great deal of change in those areas.
Tara or
Yeah.
Nicole, any comments? Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, I would also say, and I agree with Patty here too. I mean, leaders are definitely facing so many more challenges that they haven't necessarily, maybe weren't priorities before COVID. And, you know, when I talk about employee engagement, it also, we have to realize that that is so important, because how our employees show up to an organization and how they deliver service, that's going to have an impact on customers, right? Customers can see when the people that are working for that organization are burnt out, are deflated, are stressed, and it has a direct impact on, you know, the way that we deliver services and products to customers. And so, you know, they really have to think about, okay, what can I do to really make sure like our expectations and the work that people are doing is meaningful? How could we communicate that the work people are doing are making a great impact, and show them where that impact is being made, so employees can feel like they're contributing to something bigger? It's, you know, it's a challenging area, but at the same time, if you really do keep your employees focused and you look at their strengths and you're putting them into the right roles and you have the right people working on the right teams, then you really are going to see the results, you know, and how that improves the relationships that you have with your customers, which will continue to grow revenue and profits.
Tara?
I agree with both Nicole and Patty. I think a lot of it also is showing employee appreciation. Employees want to feel appreciated, feel that their work isn't just busy work. It's part of the greater good of the company. And I think from leadership down, it's important to have the open communication, and really continue to hone in and build on the communication and the culture, whether it's, you know, everybody's on site, it's hybrid. There's so much turbulence and differences and flexibility per se too for individuals. We want everybody operating on their max capacity of who they are and showing up as their truest self as an employee. So it's just a little bit more, I'd say, on the emotional side a little bit, because there are so many different emotions that individuals are going through still to this day. And I feel that individuals are more open about talking about it now, because they need to. It's something that it's not just a work-life balance, it's a blended balance that we're all living nowadays.
Yeah.
So with regard to, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Nicole.
I was just going to share one more example, Tom. Thank you, because this really is such an important topic. And I think Tara, hit the nail on the head there. But, my husband's company, and fortunately he wasn't impacted, but they had layoffs recently. And the challenge is that the communication within the organization, and I've heard this from many other people who have also been impacted by a reduction of workforce, is that the messaging, the communication is not clear. People don't feel safe showing up. They're wondering, they have this feeling on their back of, am I going to be that next person? And so I think leaders really have to know how to effectively communicate these challenging messages at times, and show more empathy in their communication, and help people feel like they are playing a big role, that they are safe, that their work is meaningful. Because companies now and other people are showing up sometimes, and they're feeling so overwhelmed by what's going on, and it's hard for them to be really productive in the work that they do if it's not being communicated efficiently and effectively.
Well, communication is always a key component, I think, of good leadership. And if you have the inability to communicate because people are working from home, you don't see people face to face, the communication, I think, is diluted somewhat because of that. And that makes the whole messaging issue even more difficult. And I think, it's in today's world, with everything you're reading about and all the uncertainties out there with the economy and layoffs and so forth, keeping employees updated on how the company is doing is very important. And again, with the work from home issue and other challenges like that, it becomes more and more difficult. So with regard to DE&I, DE&I, I think COVID kind of brought that to a very high level of importance. Not that it wasn't before, but it brought the issue to the forefront. And my organization took a very active role with the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey in promoting DE&I in many different ways, and we still do that, and we will continue to do that even in light of the Supreme Court ruling. But the new, I just also read where Congress has 4 or 5 bills pending in Congress that will basically eliminate all of the DE&I requirements that people had been practicing. And I think that is a huge mistake. But I see a lot of people, and you mentioned it, Tara, that will continue to work on the DE&I issues, because doing that has cultural and economic benefits to companies and the state. And, just because a law is passed that takes the shine off that doesn't mean that it's not important. So I think that issue hopefully will survive. And do you all see that DE&I issue being promoted aggressively, passively, not dealt with at all? I'm very curious as to what trends you're seeing with companies you touch on the DE&I issue. Anybody have a comment or not?
Well, I think Patty probably could speak to this more from the political and legislative realm, right, for this subject. I mean, from my experience at Merck, and even in the large corporations that I have worked with, one thing that I do see that is working really well was there are EBRGs, right? The employee business resource groups that a lot of these companies had. They're led by employees. They're fostering strong communities that are supporting career development and providing like really culturally relevant insights, right? And I think some of these organizations are really where people are getting more involved. And that is helping to make them feel like they're part of something bigger and doing something more meaningful work in their job, whichever organization that they've chosen to be part of. And so, I think from that perspective, it's increased and boosted employee productivity, and at least individuals feeling like they're contributing to something bigger in the work that they're doing. I think those are important to continue to see within organizations. And if there are some smaller mid-sized organizations that haven't necessarily implemented that, I think that's important, because there are employees who are showing up to work each day feeling like they're making a difference because they are a part of a community that's like-minded, right? So that's one area I would just comment on for that, Tom.
Let me just shift gears a little bit. Work from home versus showing up in the office. What are you all seeing regarding trends in companies requiring more people to commit more days, or relaxing it and say, just get the job done and stay home as much as you want? What are you all seeing regarding the work at home issue?
I'm happy to start. I think Tom, I would say it's all over the place. There are companies that are very successful with a primarily remote workforce. There are other companies that are really feeling the pinch when it comes to training new workers. Mentoring, it can be done remotely, but it's more difficult to plan, those touch points and those engagements. I will tell you from a legal perspective, what we are seeing a big increase in is wage and hour claims, which is a spin-off coming from, the pandemic, when lots of employers had to switch to remote work emergently. And it's important to note, if you have an hourly workforce, we're seeing those claims coming forward now. And, the look back periods, depending on whether it's under the New Jersey law or the federal law, is 3 or 6 years. So if you have employees who can claim that they are working in excess of their 8-hour day or 7.5-hour day and are entitled to overtime, those cases could be costly for employers to defend. And we have seen a trend where, there's more and more class actions being filed in that vein. So, the key takeaway from this comment is, please make sure as an employer that you're careful with your time records. You should have a policy that says no employee can work overtime without getting permission. But just know, even if you have an employee that doesn't follow the policy and is working overtime, the Department of Labor will expect you to pay that employee. So get guidance if this is an issue for you, because it can be pricey if there's a problem.
Tara or Nicole, any comments on that? On the work from home
I'll let
issue?
Tara, I don't know. I'm not able to see, unfortunately, everyone. I have a comment, but I want to also give you an opportunity to speak if you have something.
Thanks, Nicole. I mean, a lot of companies that we speak with, clients that we speak to, there's always this, when it goes back to the way it was, and we need to take those glasses off. We're not going back to the way it was. It's a new normal now. And there needs to be an open mind when it comes to it. From the leadership, though, they need to have policies, procedures, systems put into place so that if it is a hybrid working environment, that everybody's understood what is expected and not expected. I think, again, coming back to communication, as long as you can openly communicate with your team, with your company, and really thoughtfully create a strategy on how to best communicate, collaborate, build relationships, solidify a work culture, then any which way the business wants to go, that could be successful. You need to just jump in and dedicate the time to it. We've got some clients are enforcing back to work 5 days a week, and a lot of individuals, their lives were completely changed and impacted when COVID hit, and being able to have that hybrid system or that flexibility is extremely important for some people. So I think in order to really help make an impact with employees, it's listening to them and hearing what the needs are, and then going back and strategizing, coming up with the best strategy for your entire company to best include everybody as their needs are. That's just a little side from me.
Nicole?
Yeah, I would say very similar. I think it all comes down to communication. I think that when it seems like it's something that is mandated by the leaders in the organization, I think that is what's challenging some of the, individuals who are really wanting to respond to that. But I think if teams can make promises to one another and really agree to the days that they'll come to the office so that they can maximize collaboration and the time that's going to be spent with customers and suppliers, then I think you're going to be in a better position. I do think, and the research says that hybrid environments are definitely having positive implications on revenue growth, on stock price and earnings. And we're seeing, we're actually seeing the younger generation yearning for more of a hybrid environment. They know that when they're out in the workforce now, only 1 to 2 years, they want to learn from others that have been enrolled longer. They want to have mentors. They want to see how the company operates. And we're actually seeing more of the seasoned professionals who are the ones that might want more time remotely. I think the key is actually understanding each other's behaviors too. Like, how do you support and manage this hybrid working environment, but how do you get to know the people on your team at deeper levels so that you can be leveraging each other's strengths and talents and understand their different communication styles, right? There's a lot of things that you could do, like DISC assessments, strength-based assessments, so that you're understanding the team optics better and then having them work better with one another, whatever environment they're actually working in. But I think companies that are mandating 5 days a week are definitely going to make it less attractive in the market for talent. I think that's, something that we see.
I think creating a company culture is very difficult if people don't have face-to-face interaction. And that's
Agreed.
one of the give-ups to work from home. And I see it a lot in different companies around the state. There are companies that really have almost given up their office space and gone to hoteling concepts, where if you want to come into the office, you come in and find a cubicle and work from there during the day, but there might be nobody else there. So it's a
Right.
very different environment, and company cultures, I think, are the victims of all this.
That's right.
Tom, if I just may add another suggestion that we've been working with our clients on is look at your job descriptions and update job descriptions, particularly if you do have in-office components, which a lot of the businesses do, because in-office is still I think it's very important. Love hybrid, but being face-to-face is important. And remember, disgruntled employees are more likely to bring complaints. And if there's a request for an accommodation that involves remote work as an employer, you want to be poised to be able to explain what the hardship would be if that employee isn't able to come in. And having it in the job description, it gives me something to hold up with the Department of Labor or in front of a jury to support the employer. It also begins the communication and the expectation with the employee that they not only understand that they have to be in, but why do they have to be in? What is it about their role that you want focused on when they're on site? And that could be very helpful.
So let me ask a question about workforce shortages. One of the big problems in the business community is people companies cannot find people to fill vacancies they have, and it's created many different issues for them. What are you all seeing with regard to some unique concepts for companies looking to attract employees? Tara?
Sure.
Some of the things in regards to attracting employees and you know, job descriptions and culture at companies is what's going to attract their next employee. Creating internal programs, perhaps it's a referral program, because if an employee is happy where they work and maybe they can benefit from referring somebody else in, whether it's you know, a monetary value or a gift card, it's allowing employees to be part of inviting others to the team. I think that's a referral program has been something that has kind of been teetering with a lot of our clients and bringing excitement to it. But I also think partnering, depending on the company and the roles, it's partnering with local schools, partnering with universities, starting from, you know, no experience and bringing them in and showing them a professional path that they can take at step one and how they're going to get to step 5. How can they get from, you know, an intern to being a vice president? So I think being able to provide individuals with that plan and that layout adds excitement and does attract different individuals to see that there is a growth plan for them. They're not just coming in being a body in a chair, which I think is really important to individuals nowadays.
I think that's a very important concept. Patty or Nicole, any comments?
Go ahead.
Yeah, oh, thanks, Patty. Yeah, I mean, I would also say I think that employees are really demanding a lot more, right, from the type of work that they want to do. And so, you know, they want to know that, again, you know, I'll say it several times, that the work that they're doing is making an impact. They want to feel like it's meaningful. They want to know an organization does truly care about them, right? The people that are working with them, that they are being cared for. They expect ongoing communication and feedback from managers and clear work expectations, opportunities to grow, as Tara mentioned. I think organizations that are also doing things like providing more gig opportunities within the organization so individuals can try different roles. I mean, I'm sure all of us can, you know, at one point in our lives, we're maybe in a role that all of a sudden we said, wait, I don't really know if this is what I've signed up for, right? Maybe it wasn't fully understood. And you're giving people opportunities to try different roles to see what they're really great at and leveraging for those, you know, and putting them on the right teams. So I think that's what it really comes down to is, you know, having clear paths for growth and development and showing those concrete examples and helping people also understand how their work is making an impact at whatever point in the organization. Has to be also demonstrated and visualized and illustrated. I even think Microsoft has a technology like Viva that starts to show this. It looks pretty promising, but whatever someone in the organization has done or achieved, it's showing how it's made an impact, whether it's on a customer or a team within the organization.
And the way I would define that is convincing people that you're trying to help them with a career, not just a job.
That's
And I
right.
think there's a huge difference between a career and a job, and a lot of people, unfortunately, today are looking at their work as a job, and there needs to be a change to anchor good employees.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but until that change comes, don't forget money. Money incentivizes, and I know I have 2 adult children. My kids are 28 and 30, and both in the last year changed jobs, and it was fascinating for me to watch because they both were very interested in the culture and very interested in the opportunities, but both of them, when it came down to it, they took the job that paid them the most with the most opportunity for bonuses. So, you know, sometimes looking at what the balance sheet was from years ago and what was apportioned to employee compensation, if you're in a business where you're struggling to get employees, maybe there has to be consideration of making that pot more generous.
I was hoping one of you would bring up money, because money talks, and that when it's all said and done, that's one of the biggest attractors of talent. So, but in conjunction with that, we're also hearing that employee benefits is a huge issue for potential employees, and not just the traditional employee benefits, but one of the things that's most interesting that I've heard from the younger generation is mental health benefits. So can you all talk about employee benefits, mental health benefits, how that is all playing into the labor attraction piece?
I would just say, Tom, that from where I see it, it still continues with the same theme of money. This is, you know, people want those services. I think there's a greater need for mental health services after the pandemic. People have gone through a lot of change, and, you know, those services can cost, you know, between $100 and $300 a session. And if you have a medical benefit plan with a certain amount of deductible, that's coming out of the employee's pocket. So much so that, you know, for people making under $100,000, that would be a decision whether or not to even take advantage of getting mental health treatment. So that is something to be concerned about.
Yeah.
Nicole, any comment?
I'd also comment. I mean, I think this is challenging, right? Because the cost of insurance and for employers is very high. And, you know, I believe it's not just from an employer perspective where this needs to be addressed. I mean, it's really a societal and US like healthcare system perspective. But I think we need to really think about how do we do more things, or how do employers actually employ more preventative health measures and reducing long-term healthcare costs. So they can invest in more health and wellness education, whether it's workshops around nutrition, mental health, stress management. They can do fitness incentives, right? Those are extremely valuable. So either subsidizing gym memberships and Peloton subscriptions. They really should be encouraging people to do things that are more preventative and really empowering people to take better care of their health. I think that's and you know, as a manager, and I'll never forget one of our executives, he used to take phone calls early in the morning. He worked, you know, I had a global team, but he would often take his calls and walk outside. It was like he was giving everyone permission to, when you're not presenting on your screen or not delivering a presentation, it's okay. Go outside, get some fresh air, move your body, walk, stand-up desks, having even like little treadmills underneath. These are things that when we're given permission that, and someone's helping us know that we can take better care of ourselves, this will start to make some impact for the overall cost of healthcare. But we have to have more of a focus on the preventative measures.
Very well said, and I'm a big advocate of all that, Nicole. So I want to we only have about 10 minutes left, and I want to get to an issue that is hanging out there and growing every day, and that's AI, artificial intelligence. And I think you all know that the state of New Jersey and Princeton University have collaborated and are putting together an AI institute at Princeton to hopefully be a leader both nationally and maybe internationally in dealing with the growth of AI, the opportunities presented by AI, and mitigating the threats of AI. And there's big opportunities and there's big threats, and it's got to be done the right way, the right balance to make sure it ends up being a positive. So how is how are the capabilities of AI going to impact the employee workforce going forward?
You want, I could
Patty, go ahead.
I would just say, AI has a lot of fabulous benefits, but it has a lot of detriments. And for employers, it's super important to get across to the workforce, to the extent that you're integrating AI in your services, in your production, you are still responsible as the employer for the truth, the accuracy, and the veracity of what you put out. So it's really important that as you see those benefits, that you also address what's not. And I can give a quick example. There was a law firm who very unfortunately filed a brief in New Jersey that cited to a case that was produced with the help of artificial intelligence, and the case did not exist. And they got fined. I mean, it's just an example. As we get these tools that make our work easier and faster, remember, there's still a reason that professionals and businesses exist. It's your reputation for putting out what it is, and it's still your responsibility and your employees' responsibility for checking everything, especially when it comes to marketing, because if there's falsities that's put out on behalf of your business, you could end up in deep legal trouble.
Yep.
Yep.
Tara or Nicole?
I agree so much, Patty, with you in regards to it's a tool and we need to utilize it as a tool. It's a very useful tool, but individuals, even if businesses are implementing AI, they need to properly implement it and teach their employees how to properly use it. I think that's, we can't depend on it 100% or even 80%. It's really something that is useful to speed up processes and procedures and to, take some of the heavy lifting off of some employees, but it doesn't replace the human. It doesn't replace the creativity that that particular human was hired to do. It's an added tool. So I think it's really important for companies to make sure that that's implemented properly and implemented lightly with baby steps to make sure that every employee understands the positives and the negatives that come with it.
Nicole?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, we're big proponents of AI. I mean, we leverage it daily in our own business and even in the services we provide to clients. And I think, some of the great examples of where AI plays a significant role is in the area of customer service. I mean, you can truly have AI as your partner to manage a lot of 80 to 90% of those repetitive, mundane, highly repetitive issues that keep coming up in the customer service sector, and really allow then your employees to work on more of the complex issues, right? So you're giving AI that chance to take away some of that repetitive, mundane work in some ways, and letting employees then really work on some of the complex things. I think Amazon's a great example. In fact, in 2023, the other thing I would say is companies really need to think about reskilling and upskilling employees and how to be leveraging AI. And this is the example that I want to touch on with Amazon, because in 2023, they announced a $700 million investment to upskill 100,000 US employees. And so the initiative is aiming to take non-technical employees and train them so they can start transitioning into more advanced jobs, even like software engineering roles, right? And then they're offering other trainings like machine learning to employees with a more technical background. So I think that's key is, companies are going to move forward and continue to implement AI, but you also need to keep up with the continuum of upskilling and training so that people know how to use it better and become more productive with it.
I think the key from what you all said is AI is here to stay. It's going to grow. Make sure you're engaged. You keep track. You're updated on the trends of AI, and don't be afraid of it. I mean, try to find ways to incorporate it into your business. And if you don't, you're going to be at a competitive disadvantage.
That's right.
Yep.
Sums it up well.
So going forward in 2024, all these issues are out there. Many are in different stages of development and flux. So do you see a new normal developing, or is there never going to be a new normal and constant change within the workplace?
Yeah, my take is that there's always going to be constant change. We have to change in the workplace, right? To continue to grow, to continue to get better. I think there are a lot of new normals that are out there. I think organizations that are now putting more of a focus on their culture and their people and how to improve overall employee engagement, how to leverage tools like AI, how to make themselves more attractive by implementing more programs that are focused on, investing in training for managers so that it's more around the emotional intelligence, communication, working in these hybrid environments. That's what's going to allow companies to be more successful. And, all of these things that we talked about today, Tom, are not, they're going to continue to progress. We're not going back to the way that we were before. And so I think then now we just have to find other ways to adopt and implement these new ways of working. And the companies that are going to be doing it better and faster are the ones that are really going to make the biggest difference in the end and really win.
Okay. Tara, Patty, any comments?
I agree with what Nicole said as well. I mean, we're ever evolving, and I think that that's a good thing for companies out there to continue to grow and to change and really embrace change. I know a lot of people fear change, but I think it's taking off those glasses and putting on a different set of lenses and embracing the change and growing together. Yeah, I think that's where everybody will be successful.
Patty, the final word.
I just would encourage all of the employers to make sure with change to realize a lot of the change comes from our government. And there are a lot more restrictions. And in the last year, we've seen a lot of new laws, especially, keep in mind the United States Department of Labor. They have announced a new independent contractor rule. So if you use, 1099 workers, please be very careful. The United States government and the state of New Jersey, they want you to employ people. And, there are laws that have to be followed there. Also realize as we get used to the turnover that we're seeing in our workforces, we have a ton of litigation regarding employees taking sensitive data and going to a competitor. So please don't forget to update those handbooks, update your employee agreements, understand the national landscape on restrictive covenant enforcement is changing. And these are very expensive, could even close the doors for businesses if you have an employee that takes your secret sauce to a business that competes with you. So it's a lot. It really is a lot. It's hard to be an employer in 2024. But just please keep all those things in mind, and there are people that are here to help you.
And that attack on what I call the attack on the free enterprise system that is coming out of Washington, that can be a separate topic that can last for hours because it's growing in Washington, unfortunately. And we as an organization are engaged with the U.S. Chamber watching that and also watching it in the state. So hopefully it won't spread because free enterprise is what made this company great, and attacking it and trying to minimize that has a lot of negative benefits, a lot of negative consequences. Let me put it that way. So I'm told that our chat box, all questions in the chat box have been answered. Therefore, we don't need to bring any up. So I want to thank Tara, Nicole, and Patty for a very informative session. We could have talked for a lot longer. These issues are not going away. They're probably growing more than getting minimized. But thank you very much for your insight on all these issues. And I want to thank again our sponsor, NJM Insurance Group, for being our partner for 3 years now. And I would also be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that on March the 26th and 27th in Atlantic City at Harrah's, we're having our third business summit, where a lot of the issues we talked about today will be brought to the table. We have an unbelievable group of people presenting there, led by our governor, the CEO of J&J, Joaquin Duato, and the CEO and founder of Jersey Mike's, Peter Cancro, who will all be presenting, talking about New Jersey and the need for us to promote New Jersey and make it a better business state. So I hope you all can attend. If you do, you'll be able to network with probably in excess of 1,000 people and people who are decision makers around the state. So please go to our website. You can get the information you need from our website on that forum. It'll be a great event, and hopefully I will see many of you there. So again, thank you, Tara, Nicole, and Patty. Thank you, NJM. Thank you to all the people on the who are watching and listening today. And again, if there's anything we can do to help you all with these issues, please give us a call. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tom and team. We really appreciate it today.
Thanks.